Welcome to episode 100 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. 100 episodes. The first episode of Rebirth Revolution was released back in September of 2019. At the time I was developing this podcast, I read that the average number of episodes that were released for podcasts was 7. At the time I thought if I got to 8, I would consider it a rousing success. If you go back and listen to the first few episodes, you will quickly see that I was jamming way too much content in each episode. No doubt because I didn't know if I'd have it in me to pace it out and stick with it. I'm trying to tell you everything about how the system worked in a very short period of time. It was a lot. I hadn't anticipated still being at this 100 episodes in, and I wanted to make sure I could share everything I understood. I also hadn't anticipated that so many things would happen over the course of 100 episodes. Have you even thought of all we've gone through since September of 2019? Back when this began, we still had a full field of Democratic challengers in place for the 2020 election, and we had no idea who the candidate would be. We didn't yet know about COVID-19. We knew nothing about QAnon or all of the conspiracy theories about the election and the pandemic. Jeff Bezos did not yet have $200 billion in net worth, while in June of this year, he was estimated to have $214 billion. Once we knew about COVID, we had no idea if there would be vaccines available anytime soon. Back when we started, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were still doing the royal thing. We have witnessed protests in the streets for a variety of issues involving people from all parts of the political and ideological spectrum. We had a free and fair election that was followed by an attempted coup. We've been quarantined and set free, and now it looks like we are going back in the wrong direction. Through it all, we have had unprecedented fires and weather events that continue to set records. We have seen the very best in people and the very worst in people. We lost a lot of important people in this school, and countless others have been shaped in a way that will benefit where this world is headed. We have had to stop thinking that we can predict what will happen next, which is not a bad thing. It's a disturbing, unsettling thing, but the disruption has allowed us to see things differently. And, if nothing else, the crazy times we have been through have illuminated the many issues that are either smoldering or fully in flames. We have been shown the work we have to do. I don't know if you have taken the time to truly reflect on all that you have been through since this podcast began. You have been through lots of trauma. You have been through so much fear and uncertainty. You have undoubtedly been through loss that will resonate through the rest of our time here. But you should also take comfort in the fact that you are still here. You are still in the game. You have a chance to do it all better tomorrow. You have the ability to shape a new future. You are stronger than you were before, even if you are still somewhat shell-shocked at this point. You have developed a deeper kind of strength that only comes from adversity and challenge. That can never be taken away from you. You have stripped away the inconsequential elements of your life here, if for no other reason than that they seem silly and unsupportable after what we've gone through. You are closer to the nitty-gritty than you have ever been. Don't stop now. You are morphing into your very best self. As of now, we have more than 631,000 deaths in the United States from COVID and 4.46 million deaths worldwide. Parts of this country are bound and determined to keep this thing going. In watching interviews with people who refuse to get vaccinated, there's often reference made to some people with voices in social media who have been dubbed the Disinformation Dozen. It is estimated that these 12 people have a reach of 59 million people across the different social media platforms. It is estimated that they produce 65% of the shared misinformation. Here's what drives my anger about this. The people who are telling others to not get vaccinated and not wear masks have no skin in the game. They are not willing to put their money where their mouth is. I'm sure I could come up with other tried and true sayings, but I'll spare you. We have a deep divide in this country. Some feel that science is our best way out. They are saying that masking and vaccine are the way. There are others who hype animal dewormers and the like, and think that they should not mask or vax. Okay, fine, but have you noticed what happens when the anti-mask, anti-vax people get COVID? They show up at hospitals. If you don't believe the science, then why do you turn to it when you get the virus? The people who have told them that they shouldn't mask or vax have nothing on the line. They contribute nothing to the cause. They just exacerbate the problem. They are somehow able to convince people that they run the risk of having their car keys stick to their foreheads if they get the vaccine. If they truly believed that their crackpot cures worked, they would set up tents in feed supply parking lots and their church parking lots to treat those who get COVID. But they don't. They show up at the hospitals and disrupt health care for others and put many more people at risk. I've even read stories of them being infuriated that the hospitals won't administer the animal dewormers to cure them. Pick a lane and stick with it. If you think that science is a hoax, be consistent. Call upon those who are telling you this is the way through and have them administer your health care once you are sick. Leave the hospitals for those who have medical emergencies. These alternate healthcare centers can be funded by the megachurches and others who are invested in this anti-science movement. We live in a time when people want their personal freedom, yet they accept no personal responsibility, and they don't hold those who put them in danger through their disinformation accountable. If the crackpot tents were set up and people who were anti-science exclusively visited those sites, there would be ample evidence that they are being lied to and manipulated. But they don't get to the accountability stage because when push comes to shove, they go to those who are working with current scientific knowledge and time-tested practices. I realize that there is a fight about nurses who don't want to get vaccines or wear masks. They would be the perfect people to staff the crackpot tents. Let them see firsthand how their theories play out. I've always had a problem with these kind of disconnects. When people scream about having to wear helmets when riding their motorcycles, I think, fine, don't wear one. But also don't ask for taxpayers to pay for employees to scrape your brains off the roadways. Get your helmet exemption by giving a list of friends and family who will be responsible for scraping your remains off the road. With freedom comes responsibility. We can't continue to live in a world where people want to be reckless and then expect the responsible people to clean up after them. But it's even worse than that. The people who have been responsible are being made to pay for the irresponsible when they get to the hospital with non-COVID issues. People who have done the right thing will die because all the beds are filled with those who chose to be irresponsible. Maybe I need to reframe this. I won't refer to them as crackpot tents, the places where the crackpot remedies are administered by those who tout them. Let's call them freedom tents. Everyone who does not believe in science, those who do not believe that we should do what we can to stop the spread and further mutation and strengthening of this virus, should go to the freedom tents for their medical treatment once they come down with the virus. All these freedom tents can be staffed by all the so-called health experts who are a big part of why we are where we are. Then let's see how many people they can cure with their treatments. If their treatments are better, we need to know that. Let's get some stats and accountability for the messages they are spreading. I don't suggest this out of any sort of hatred. I suggest this because we're here to learn our lessons, and those lessons have to play out in a way that allow us to see and absorb what the lesson was meant to teach. When you make a choice, you need the room to let that play out to its logical conclusion. That is where and how you learn to choose differently. If people are making choices based on bad information, they need to know that. They need to be able to figure out who they should and should not be listening to. Allowing the people who spread misinformation to cause their followers to suffer painful, pointless deaths, while also destroying our medical system, and do this all without any accountability whatsoever, is deplorable. It does not allow the purveyors of misinformation to truly learn the magnitude of the choice they are making. We are giving them a safety net that keeps them from learning the lesson their choice contains. People rarely learn that way. Each and every one of us has a belief system that is a patchwork of ideas and experiences and impressions. We are all responsible for what that patchwork quilt looks like and how the pieces fit together. It is impossible to construct a worldview, a life view, that doesn't hold conflicting ideas. That hurts our brains, so we give up the work of reconciling our beliefs by joining a group or a side. Then we adopt whatever that group or side espouses and make that our identity. But every group or side also holds conflicting ideas. Some are more heinous than others. I watched an almost unbelievable video interview of a woman who was crying real white woman tears about the people in Afghanistan. She was really broken up about how awful the situation was. It was one of the worst things she had ever seen. She said that this is not who we are. When asked if the refugees should be brought to the United States, her entire demeanor changed. It was truly a Jekyll and Hyde moment. Then she hardened and said that, well, we shouldn't do that. It was a lot of faux outrage followed by the hardened heart that was at her core. This, in fact, is who we are. Here's her conflict. I'm sick for what those people are going through, yet I fear and hate them, so I don't think we should do anything to help if that means they end up anywhere near me. I bring this woman up because she is such an unvarnished example of the opposing thoughts that people hold in their minds. She is not alone. She is perfectly human. She just lacks the self-awareness to try to cover that up. There are millions of issues going on at the moment, and many intersect in ways that are too complicated for most of us. We can't always see that a solution in one area will create an entirely new problem in another. Yet there are some solutions that can perfectly hit intersections that address multiple problems. Some days I feel so overwhelmed by everything that I read. It hurts my heart and it hurts my head, but I know that I'm here to try to sort out the parts of it that I can. I feel deeply wounded by what our ancestors had to endure and what our ancestors did. I feel pain for what everyone is going through now. I'm getting better at seeing how the past and present are connected. The one thing that keeps me sane is knowing that I can affect the future by helping to shape the people who will inhabit it. I can make choices that show love for my people while allowing them the independence to learn their own lessons and solve their problems in ways that I might not be able to imagine. I can help them ready themselves for the future by not assuming that my knowledge and experiences contain their answers. It is humbling to know that I am of a generation that made choices that helped create all this chaos. We didn't form a more perfect union. We didn't respect our planet. We did not create a society that allowed everyone to prosper and grow. We will leave behind some good music, a deeply damaged planet, and more discord than can be calculated. The squares in our quilts that we were unable to reconcile have been replaced by ones that all say me. Me, me, me. That is the only concern. We came here to be part of the solution. A quilt that is nothing but squares that all say me is the antithesis of our mission. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. And thanks to those who have stuck around for most or all of the 100 episodes. You can always let me know how you are doing by emailing rebirthrev@gmail.com. Also feel free to point out my inconsistencies and any aspects of what is going on that I have failed to address. Or just let me know that you're doing okay. We can be found on all the podcast apps with full episodes playing on YouTube and our Facebook page. It helps others find us when you rate and review the episodes. Thanks. Until next week, look again at some of the pieces in your quilt. Grapple with your inconsistencies. Get vaccinated if you haven't already, and wear a mask. And support everyone who is trying to do the right thing. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and fired up.